You are not ready for this arc of Jujutsu Kaisen. With the second season of Jujutsu Kaisen's anime, the following around the series has been on a steady incline thanks to its clever twist on the shonen formula, darker atmosphere, complex powers, and interesting story, as well as characters. And listen, I get it. I would also let Gojo peg me. I also love Jujutsu Kaisen. Season 1 was a strong start and did an incredible job of selling the characters, world, and general vibe of the story. So far, Season 2 has kept up the quality and even exceeded it at some points. The flashback with Gojo and Geto was genuinely one of my favorite parts of Jujutsu Kaisen, as well as just general anime in recent memory. And I absolutely loved Toji as an antagonist. But I need you to understand something. All of this, it's nothing compared to what's coming. Watching Junpei getting kicked down by a life and then gruesomely killed by Mahito and seeing Toji stab Gojo in the face is nothing compared to what's coming. Because now, we are entering the Shabuya Arc. The Shabuya Arc of Jujutsu Kaisen is where the series goes from being a somewhat darker shonen with an interesting power system into an almost seinen-like series with exceptional writing that does not shy away from delving into true horror and depravity. The arc continuously shocks the viewer with its constant shifts and turns, brings out the most incredible powers and strategy we have in modern shonen, and gives us the most brutal moments we have seen in recent anime. Something I absolutely love about this arc is that it does not hold back at all. Listen, when you are watching a shonen arc, you can usually confidently say that things are going to be fine at the end. Sure, perhaps some side characters will die and perhaps the main character will be shaken a little, but whatever goes down in this arc, you can usually confidently say that there won't be any real consequences. Well, the Shabuya arc of Jujutsu Kaisen spits on that notion. Jujutsu Kaisen in general is pretty well known for diverting itself from the typical shonen tropes, and I think that the Shabuya arc is the biggest example of this. Characters on both sides are killed off left and right, and big antagonists don't just get stalled until the main character shows up, but rather are dealt with by the person who happens upon them. Sometimes the fighting goes well, and sometimes it doesn't. But speaking of fighting, every fight in this arc is incredibly complex and is somehow both completely understandable as well as completely nonsensical. I mean, we watch a guy with a power of 24 frames per second, don't ask, we'll be here all day, fighting a fish blob, don't ask, who uses the ultimate power of free vacation to Hawaii. And somehow it's one of the best fights in the anime. But other than just the fights, the stakes feel incredibly real and characters receive real consequences for their actions. Taking too long to stare at a lifelong friend can lead to a character being removed from the series, possibly forever. Taking on an opponent that is far beyond your skill requires sacrifice, and putting your trust in someone can be fatal on both sides in this conflict. Characters are maimed and receive wounds that will never truly heal, both physically and mentally. Jujutsu Kaisen is often described as a story of how Yuji lost his smile, and I think that this arc truly shows us that. Because this isn't just a typical shonen. In this story, you can't just give in to your inner demon and get a power boost to fight the current bad guy who stands in front of you. No. In this story, a choice like that has consequences. And in this story, not everyone makes it out alive from the conflict. And in this story, sometimes the villains win. But in this story, sometimes the villains lose. In the Shabuya arc of Jujutsu Kaisen, all sides of the conflict have just as big of chance of winning as the other. And you can truly feel it when you're going through the story. Jujutsu Kaisen has designed its power system so that the fight can never really come down to who can punch the hardest, but rather who can outthink their opponent. Thanks to this power system, Jujutsu Kaisen is able to not only create more interesting fights than the typical battle shonen, it's also able to do essentially whatever the heck it wants, thanks to the almost limitless creativity that the power system offers. I mean, one character's power is literally just putting you in a visual novel where you have to gamble your way towards victory. Tell me that's not the most insane thing you ever heard. Thanks to how different everyone's powers truly are, you can never quite tell what's going to happen or what power a new character might have. It could be anything from controlling blood, to being really fast, to changing your body into literally anything. In short, you could say the power system is, quite literally, limitless. You can change me back, right? Huh. I guess I'm stuck like this now. Oh well. But flashy powers is not the only thing that makes this arc incredible. No, the real beauty of this arc comes from the characters and the uninterrupted nightmare they are put in. Be it witnessing Gojo's true overwhelming might on full display, Nanami getting the whole anime community to collectively call him daddy, or the pure terror that is inspired by some of the characters. This arc does some of the best work with its character writing that I have ever seen from a shonen. Jujutsu Kaisen has always been more rooted in reality than most other shonens. And in this arc, we truly see what that means for the characters. Taking heavy damage from a battle doesn't usually mean much in a shonen battle, as the characters can usually just be healed up quickly anyway. Black Clover! But in Jujutsu Kaisen, every hit matters. Every wound a character takes pushes them closer to the edge. Every second they spend in a fight means another second they won't last in the next. And every major attack leaves a scar that will have consequences for the rest of the story. This isn't your typical shonen arc. Here, making the wrong choice means consequences for everyone involved. And this arc does an incredible job of making us truly care about every single character that's involved. The arc makes us root for them, simp over them, cry for them, and then, when tragedy truly strikes, we grieve alongside the characters. And oh boy, does tragedy strike. So, have you ever seen a car crash? Well, when I was younger, I got to see one firsthand, right in front of me. Faster than you can blink, you just see this tragedy play out. And then, it gets worse. One ruined car becomes two become four. The car at the front starts taking bigger and bigger hits. Something that will shape people's entire life moving on is playing out right before you as if it were a movie. People get hurt, experience the biggest trauma of their lives, but you just sit there, watching. You watch people's lives crumble and you hear others cry out in either horror or pain. Each tragedy falling in faster than your brain is able to process the previous tragedy. In a lot of ways, it doesn't feel real. But at the same time, you can fully empathize and put yourself in the situation of the people who are being affected. A part of you wants to turn away and stop watching this unfold, to spare yourself from watching the horrific scene, but you know you can't. Because even though what is happening is both horrific and traumatic, and you don't want to see all the people get hurt, you don't want to see all the lives being broken, you don't want to see everyone's cars literally crashing into each other as if it were a horror movie, you still can't turn away. Because even though what is happening is traumatic, you can't shake the feeling that you will never see something like this again. You can't lose the feeling of genuine horror and relief that you are not the one affected, but you also can't move your eyes away, as there is still one thought in the back of your mind that keeps your attention on the screen before you. Can it get worse? Our brains are hardwired to look out for meaningful and potentially dangerous events. So even as you try, you cannot look away and stop yourself from taking in what might be the most meaningful and horrific event of a lifetime. Watching the Shabuya Arc of Jujutsu Kaisen is like watching a car crash. But not just any car crash. No, this is all the cars in Los Angeles and all the cars in Chicago somehow getting propelled at each other at Mach 5 speed straight into each other. And also the Twin Towers are there. In this arc, you watch more and more domino pieces fall as the situation gets more and more out of control until you aren't just knocking down domino pieces anymore, but rather the very rules of what makes up a shonen battle manga. Jujutsu Kaisen has never liked playing by the book of other shonen, but this arc, the Shabuya Incident arc, is Jujutsu Kaisen giving a giant middle finger to the typical shonen tropes, as it proudly establishes itself as one of the best stories ever shown on television. The Shabuya Incident is where Jujutsu Kaisen truly becomes great. And so I hope that you now understand that you truly are not ready for the Shabuya Incident of Jujutsu Kaisen.